Hey yo, what's good? I'm gonna be telling you how the time I helped the fireman get his revenge. Hey, like they said, all heroes don't wear capes, badges, or uniforms. Sometimes they support those who do. So on a bright spring day, I was walking back to the crib after copping me a chopped cheese when I saw a fire truck going ballistic on the road. He was swerving, spinning, and even backflipping. Ultimately, the driver crashed into a pole. Because of my curiosity, I went to go check up on the person. I got to the truck and saw a man crying. I knocked on the window, then asked him what happened. He said that his wife was gonna leave him for another man if he doesn't get his money up. As a result, he has been working 2 jobs with long shifts, and the stress is really getting to him. When he told me his story, I assumed it was God giving me a side mission and that the mission could possibly have a lot of XP. I chose to accept it and told him a plan I came up with on the spot. After telling him the plan, he was hesitant at first, but I was able to assure him that the plan would work, and he eventually agreed. He told me his name was Chris, and we got started right away. First, we started off by following his wife throughout the day, waiting for her to meet up with the other man. But no longer than 2 minutes of waiting, we saw them and they drove back to his place. We followed and eventually saw them enter his house. As I was about to begin the plan, Chris told me he didn't want to continue the plan because he felt like he didn't deserve his wife. I got tight and smacked the shit out of him. I told him to man up, and then I got out the car. I got to the side of the house with a hammer, expecting to break in. But when I got to the window, it was already open. So I just hopped in. When I was sneaking around, I was constantly hearing kissing and moaning noises. It was annoying, but I had to focus. I saw a trail of clothes and followed. I eventually got to the room and saw the man's pants on the floor. But unfortunately, that was the place where the magic was happening. So I had to be extra stealthy. With all my training and experiences in the past of sneaking around, this was going to be my test to see if I mastered the way of the sneaking. I counted down from 3 and immediately took action at 2. I got in the room, quickly grabbed the man's pants, and got out. I reached in his pocket and took both his keys and wallet. I was relieved to know my training hadn't been for nothing and got up out of there. I told Chris the home address of the man and we drove over there. When we got to the man's house, I told him to stay in a truck, assuming he was going to be emotional again. But that time was different. He was determined and told me he was going to come with. I agreed and we got into his house. After a minute of searching, we eventually came across a safe with a lock on it. On the safe, there was a paper with a question on it. The question was, what is the greatest enemy of all time? Now, at the time, I hadn't blissfully bestowed my eyes on the masterpiece known as One Piece, so I was ignorant to the core. At first, I foolishly put Naruto because that was the anime I was watching at the time. It showed an error message and I started to get concerned. But then I tried again with another unenlightened guess and chose Bleach because I heard it was good. Then it showed an error message again and showed that I had one more attempt. As a result, I started to feel anxious that I was going to fail the mission. So I decided to just go a country roll and see what was trending. The first show I saw was One Piece, and something within me just told me that was the right answer. I inputted One Piece, and to my surprise, it worked. Inside was the passcode to his credit card and $30,000. I knew the passcode was in the safe because I found a paper with the passcode inside his wallet. I gave Chris the passcode and took the $30K. Then we headed over to the bank and executed the last part of our plan. We finally arrived at the bank and emptied his entire bank account. We proceeded to drive to an expensive store where Chris treated himself to a lot of luxurious drip. Then we drove to the nearest ocean and threw his keys and wallet into the water to get rid of the evidence. Then eventually, we reached Chris' house. You see, the plan was to go to the man's house, steal his wallet and keys, go to his house and find the passcode, then take all his money and spend it on luxurious items to make Chris look rich, in hopes that his wife won't leave him. Chris dapped me up and emotionally thanked me for everything. He told me that he didn't know how to repay me, and I told him that he doesn't. I was just looking out for a brother, and if he ever needed anything, he should hit me up. I got him. He dapped me up one last time and we went our separate ways. Then out of nowhere, a whole squad of cop cars pulled in front of the house. I looked to my left and saw Chris being arrested by the feds, while the man and the wife were standing there watching. He was shouting at me, begging for my help, but I did not want to go to jail again, so I put my AirPods and booked it back home. And that was the last time I saw him, up until a later point in my life, but that's a story for another occasion. In life, we all face certain aspects that can overwhelm and stress us out, leading to irrational decisions that may hurt others, even if it was never our intention. However, it is during those days where you gotta push, where you gotta fight, where you gotta give it your all, because if you don't, no one will. And it is during those days where you improve the fastest and become someone worth recognizing. So I will leave y'all with a message that y'all can use whenever you're doubting yourself. The moral of the story is, if you aspire to be a gentleman, make sure to use your napkins and cautery properly. It is a quality that a top 1% man has. Be a gentleman.